Hi everyone. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host David Tear, where I've been featuring my personal countdown of the top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. Today I'm up to song number 2818, and that one is You Got to Me by Neil Diamond. This came out in 1966, and it was released on his album entitled Just for You, which came out the following year. And Neil Diamond here's an early picture of him. He was one of the most prolific singers and songwriters of the rock era. I also think one of the greatest. I have 15 of his songs on my list, by the way. This is the last of them. I think this is a really good song, but I think all his other songs are even better, or a lot of them are. And he still performs today. He started his musical career started in 1962. He's been singing for over 60 years. Here's a more recent picture of him. Just an amazing singer and songwriter. And I'm gonna go through his discography. He had dozens of top 40 hits. I'm just gonna go through his top tens. He had several top 10 hits as well. His first, I'll just start with his first. So in 1966, he had Cherry Cherry, which went to number 6. Later that year, he had Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, which went to number 10. 69, he had Sweet Caroline, which went to number 4, and Holly Holy, which went to number 6. In 1970, he had his first number 1, titled Cracklin' Rosie. I want to say a little bit about this song, even though I'm not featuring it. First time I heard it, I don't know, I didn't know what it was about. I thought he was singing Franklin Rosie. I actually thought he was singing about FDR, go figure. But no, actually, it's an interesting song. It's about a Native American, I guess a drunken Native American, because I guess Cracklin' Rosie was a name for a certain type of wine that this certain Native American tribe used to drink. And I guess they thought of it like a woman. I think it was a song they sang. I guess he was heartbroken. He was a heartbroken Indian drinking wine and missing his woman and thinking of the wine like a woman, something like that. But it's a very good song, in case you haven't heard it. That one is coming up much later on my list. 71, he had I Am, I Said. That one went to number 4. 72, he had Song Sung Blue, his second number 1 song. 74, he had Longfellow Serenade, which went to number 5. 78, he had a duet, a beautiful duet with Barbra Streisand. That was his third number 1. It was called You Don't Bring Me Flowers. Barbra Streisand is another really amazing artist, by the way. Uh, and both of them are Jewish, too, in case you guys care about that. And I am as well. So I guess I'm kind of proud of him, Neil and Barbara, partly because they both belong to the same religion as me, even though I'm not religious. To me, Judaism is more of a cultural tie than a religious tie. But kudos to both of them. And 1980, he actually featured 3 songs from this movie called The Jazz Singer. This was a remake of a movie from the 1920s. I never saw this movie. I never saw either version. I heard that the new version from 1980. Neil Diamond, I think, starred in this. I heard it was a really bad movie. At least that was my dad told me when he saw it. He didn't like it. I think he and my mom saw it. I don't know. I haven't heard from anybody else anything about this movie, but he did have 3 hits from this movie. They were "Love on the Rocks." That one was released in 1980 and went to number 2. And his other 2 hits from this movie were "Hello Again." These were both in 1981. "Hello Again," which went to number 6, and "America," which went to number 8. And his only other top 10 song, that was inspired by another movie. I'm sure you guys have all seen this movie, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This was one of the biggest movies of all time. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. I'm sure you guys all know what it's about. It's about an alien who visits this boy. And I guess Neil Diamond was so moved by this movie that he wrote a song about it. Even though it wasn't featured in the movie soundtrack, I think it came out the following year. but the song was called Heartlight. And you can hear a lot of references in that song to this movie. I mean, he talked about taking a ride across the moon, and of course, there's the famous scene where E.T. makes the kid's bicycle fly, and it's shot in such a way that it looks like it's flying across the moon. Everybody knows that scene is even featured in this poster, and also his heart light, which his heart lit up. So anyway, so I just thought I'd mention that. But what else can I say about Neil Diamond? He had a couple hits that there were actually bigger hits for other artists. His biggest hit, I think, the biggest hit he ever wrote was "I'm a Believer," which was kind of the signature song for this band here called the Monkees. The Monkees weren't even a real group. They were semi. They were only kind of a semi-real group. Only two of the four guys who formed the Monkees were real musicians. That was Michael Nesmith and Peter Tork. The other two were just actors because it was a TV show. It was a TV series. A pretty funny show. But only two of them were real musicians. But they did have a really huge hit with "I'm a Believer." Spent 7 weeks at number one. It was one of the biggest hits of the decade. That one is coming up much, much later on my list. And they even had another song by Neil Diamond called "A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You." Another really excellent song. That one went to number two. And that one's also on my list. And then the other thing I think I should mention is another group which I really like called Smashmouth. They were a '90s band. And it's funny. I don't like that much music from the '90s, but I do really like Smash Mouth. I have a couple of their songs on my list. They had three songs I really like. Actually, four. I didn't. There were two that I kind of regret I didn't feature on my list. I might as well tell you what they were. One was their version of "I'm a Believer," and I think they also did a really excellent version of this song. And the other one I didn't feature, which I probably should have, was "Can't Get Enough of You, Baby," which is another really excellent song. But the two of their songs I do feature on my list, and pretty high up, both of them, were "All Star" and "Walking on the Sun." Uh, Might as well tell you, both of those made my top 1,000. You'll hear them in several years if you keep following this channel. But anyway, and I think I should mention one more thing about Smash Mouth. I saw them. I went to a free concert that they had last year here in Las Vegas. They played a free concert at the Fremont Street Experience, 4th of July 2023. And I went to that. And it was a really excellent concert. And I'm glad I went because I was told that just a few days after this concert, the lead singer, whose name I don't even know, he died. So I don't think they're still performing. So I guess I got to see their last concert, and I'm really glad I did. And I did see them perform "I'm a Believer." I think that was the next to last song they played. Then they had a big encore in which they played "All Star," which I think was their biggest hit. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Yeah, and then I also should mention that Neil Diamond wrote another really excellent song called "Red Red Wine," which became another number one song for this band here called UB40. And it's interesting because, I heard UB40's version before I heard Neil Diamond's version. UB40 did a really excellent reggae version of this song. And when I first heard it, I thought it was originally written as a reggae song. It wasn't. Neil Diamond wrote it himself, and it was a love ballad. It was a very sad love ballad he wrote in the 60s. It's a song about heartbreak. But I like UB40's version. I think I actually prefer UB40's version. That's another one that's coming up much later on my list. And UB40's version, I think, like I said, went to number one. Excellent song. So anyway, like I said, Neil Diamond was just an amazing singer and songwriter. I want to say a little bit about the song "You Got to Me." There's not much to say about it, really. I mean, it's just kind of a simple love song. And I think I should mention, his early songs, a lot of his early songs kind of sound the same. I mean, this song sounds a lot to me like "Cherry Cherry" and "A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You." And I think "For the Lord for the Nighttime," they all have the same kind of notes and chords and progressions. And I think they're all really good songs. But one thing I think I'll say about Neil Diamond is I think his music became a lot more diverse later in his career. Um, I think he was still excellent in the '60s, but I think he got maybe a little more. His music got a little more mature later on. I think by the '70s. And into the '80s. But anyway, that concludes my video. That concludes my profile on "You Got to Me" by Neil Diamond. Thank you guys for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.